Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent and the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim. May God protect us from evil. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. So, I wanted to speak about something. I wanted to speak about how a species is awkwardly being true to itself. As one human being in the world, I am attempting to speak about the awkwardness of our species. I think it's important to talk about awkwardness. I'm going to talk about it. It might be awkward, but, you'll survive. Let's look at initially the definition of awkward. So here it says being awkward is being an adjective. So so anybody who's awkward, guess what? You're also an adjective. That was awkward. Anyways, keep going. I'll explain awkwardness afterwards. I have a view on it. Okay, let's read it. I'm reading the definition, the dictionary definition of awkward. Okay, it's an adjective. 1. Causing difficulty, hard to deal or deal with, some awkward questions. Deliberately unreasonable or uncooperative. Another definition is causing or feeling embarrassment or inconvenience. Example, you have put me in a very awkward position. The third definition, not smooth or graceful, ungainly. Oh my God, I didn't even know you could use the word ungainly. It's like, how was your performance? I'll just look and be like, it was ungainly. And the second part to the third definition, uncomfortable or abnormal. Make sure the baby isn't sleeping in an awkward position, okay? All right. Let's truly dive into this. I feel like I need to play like battle music. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain as someone who's been awkward many times. Oh my God. Right? Let me explain what's going on. It's a matter of shock, to be honest. And it's a matter of your inner realm pattern shifting midway through your external form following your inner realm pattern. So, my God, is there no perfect song I could play right now? All right, whatever. So I'll give you an example of an awkward moment. You've been giving talks for years and there's zero viewers. Let me explain what I mean by the awkwardness of the species. By awkwardness, immediately the definition I have that comes to me is that it is not proper. And it's like missing a beat. Do you know? And it's like there's an expectation on the protocol of communication. But human beings are different, and the ratio of how much their attention is to their inner life compared to their outer life is also different as well. So let me tell you, awkward moments are moments when there is no response, okay? And there should be. Like, it's normal for there to be a response. Somebody goes on stage and they're about to say something and suddenly their attention catches something and it's like the thought's gone and they're just staring at the crowd like, what am I doing here? Do you know? See, I'm trying to give you examples of awkwardness and trying to contextualize it, that one aspect of it is that it's due to impatience. The other aspect is it's also due to the speed of expectation. I don't know, whoever you are, if you've noticed, human beings are rhythmic creatures. That means you need to be in rhythm, and then you put them in rhythm, and then they're in rhythm. You understand? It's like, just like how there's music, there is human expression, okay? And it has an influence on it. Now, where I'm going with this is to contextualize it in the sense that, how have I dared say that our species is being awkwardly true to itself, okay? And what does that mean? So first, we got to look at what does it mean if an individual is awkwardly being true to itself. Now, if awkwardness is a moment where the person doesn't know what to do, one can say that it's like the human species coming into contact with the unknown. Okay? Now, there is such a thing as, I believe, artificial awkwardness and real awkwardness. Artificial awkwardness is, in some sense, when others think you're awkward. Let me tell you why. There's been people I've seen on this planet, including my all right, I'm back, guys. I'm back. All right, I'm back, guys. I'm back. If somebody goes on stage and they don't know what to do and the audience is waiting, that's an awkward moment for everybody. Okay? Now, I was telling you, at the same time, I've seen people who I've culturally been like, well, yo, man, what's that abnormal, awkward thing that person's doing? You know, off the regular rhythm of things. And to my surprise, that individual having boldness to just go through the event ended up in a moment that had a different value. See, awkwardness is a moment's evaluation. You know, like, you can look at somebody and when they come and talk to you, they're awkward, but then when they're talking to other people, it's like smoothest kind of language use, you know. So awkwardness is an impression, and it's a reaction to not knowing how the moment should go forth. Okay? Now, can we say the species doesn't know how to go forth in the moment? And how is the species awkwardly being true to itself? I mean, I could see that line of code also translate into how can a species not be real to itself? That means awkwardly real. It's kind of like impartially real. Okay, and what is awkward, I think, about just the human condition is that we're here for a little while. One, two, we have our individualized perspectives. That means each one of us is like an information processor processing the data of their corner of the world. It's as if all the linguistic simulation, your subjective identity, like imagine somebody comes up to me, who are you? And I'm like, I'm this character in a story. And I tell them the story. Like to a higher being, that's awkward. It's like, what? You're a subjective simulation in the moment? That's how you value yourself? So to me, human beings are creatures that their biological outer life is that which survives. Its aim is to survive. Survival is pretty much use what you can. I'm pretty much saying that the way human beings are considering to be real, it's awkward. Why? We are being simulated from within, okay? 2, there's mysteries that we cannot tap. 3, the system is too big. 4, the system is changing. Like the person's like, yo man, I practiced like, this skill for all this time, and then it suddenly changed and that industry like disappeared. Like that's awkward, like I'll give you an example where the species will feel awkwardness when suddenly we have like cyborgs walking among us. Prior to that, we probably have androids walking among us. And then imagine an android getting closer to being human. Okay, and you're thinking you're speaking to a human, and midway you realize it's an android, and you're like, this is an awkward error, So what I'm trying to tell you is that all of you are being awkward because none of you actually are being something that you can verify to be real. I don't mean like existence. I mean, you see, there's physical content. We open our eyes in a room, in a simulation, okay? And this simulation does have a system admin. And as I began the lecture, all praise due to the system admin. You're listening to somebody who it has become very obvious that there is a presence of an original power in this massive simulated system we're in, okay? And simulated doesn't mean, just a computer game, doesn't mean a hologram. It means that here, I'll say this way, if a video game was made of pixels, okay, it's as if, guess what, this is kind of like a video game that is made of the periodic table instead of the pixels. It's made of 3D matter. Most human beings, when they have any experience with video games, you're playing in a 2D. You're looking at a 2D screen, even though your perception extracts 3D. Do you know? Anyways, where I'm going with this is that you're telling me here. I'll pose it like this. I'll shape it like this. You're telling me a species is not awkward if it doesn't know its source, where it came from, its beginning. It doesn't know its ending. It doesn't know even what's going to happen in the short-term future. It's in a changing world. Like to some degree, yes, human beings living a life here, that's the human life. But from another angle, it's like massive waves of information. It's just the information is in shape. The computer code is not code, it's 3D. It's the actual thing. That means, does it matter if it's like zero ones on a screen, or does it matter in some sense? It's do you understand what I'm saying? The experience of the symbol is some sort of experience of reality. And right now, as I am drinking my coffee, cappuccino, honestly, look at the human position. We're playing costume games, are we not? It's as if nice, the primitive people. We look at I've seen people like this, they look at primitive people and they're like, look at these guys. They put color on their face. Wait a minute. Are you saying we in 2025 are not putting subjects all over our face? You understand what I'm telling you? I'm telling you, it's the same thing. It's like they put colors on their face. We're like, I'm a citizen of this nation. And then, it's like, to be honest, we need to, I need to create a show called Honest Interviews, where you're honestly interviewing to get to the core of the value in the moment. There is a core, right? That means, this might sound bizarre, if I'm a simulated being, I'm not close to the original core of reality. But in my view, the original core of reality is not in the world. So to me, it's like I'm a character in a novel, but this character was like, yo man, I can notice this is a novel I'm in. Okay, so for me, going from Vedic approaches, like that stuff became all child's play. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but Vedanta became child's play. And I began to realize that more than it's my relationship with my experience, it's my experience's relationship with what is actually present here. So to me, there is a higher power, but nothing in the world can be like, I'm a higher power. To me, when I say original core, guys, like the truth, I'm saying that it's the closeness to the original reality. Do you understand? It's like me and you, with this talk that I'm giving to you, this human life, it might be luxurious, it might be whatever, but we're in like World War II trenches. We just don't realize it. You're on a battlefield and you look at another soldier and you're like, yo, why are you here? So anyways, I mean, you as a human being, whatever age you are, I think pretty much in childhood, you experience a lot of hilarious things. Oh my God, let me tell you one of the most hilarious things, awkward moments of my life. I was in grade 4, okay? And in grade 4, my family had moved from Canada to Iran. Okay, I lived in Iran for some years of my schooling. So grade 4, I remember I was in the class. I think it was grade 4. It could have been after, maybe grade 5. But anyways, whatever. It was like same place, same classroom. And so I remember this teacher telling me to read in front of the class. And we were reading history. And it came to like a date BC. And in my oblivious, playful kind of like attention everywhere mind, I read it BC, like before Christ. I read it as British Columbia. And it was a moment where, imagine like the whole class is tired after recess, right? We would all play soccer in Iran. And so if the whole class is tired, everybody's like their heads down, like hearing me, like, and I'm tired too, and I'm reading in front of the whole class. And suddenly, I don't know, I say like, 200, like, I don't know, something, let's say 1,000 British Columbia. And then the whole class erupts in laughter. Even the teacher starts laughing. And I remember I was like, freaking, like, I understood what it meant to be a turtle in that moment. Okay. But that was a ridiculously awkward moment in my life. But the thing is, that moment, like, it completed. Do you understand what I mean? When the understanding came, and our awkwardness, I believe, like if somebody's really awkward right now, it's like you lack understanding. Okay? It could be a matter of emotional intelligence too. This is something, as more and more life is going on, I'm learning out. It's like, how do I say it? Like, I wasn't raised with like a high emotional intelligence. Okay? In the sense that I hadn't, think of it this way. You open your eyes, you're in a video game. Now in the video game, there's an expectation of how the video game player, or what the video game player can do, but the combinations are random. You have choice in choosing the combinations, right? For me, understanding plus a sense of urgency. Like, I've been in situations where something awkward has happened, and I've also, through just being faster than the moment, kind of corrected it. Right? Like, there is that too. But when I say a species is awkwardly being true to itself, I'm trying to get the species to admit to itself that it doesn't know exactly what's going on, and that we're all living in stories right now. They're like, how do you know you're a soul? It's like, I don't know, man. I have opinions on my opinions. Anyways, like, technically, if I just don't talk and keep this live for like 20 minutes, that would be awkward, and that would be like a teaching moment. But honestly, guys, what can I tell you? There's moments in life where you look at your own value, and your value, you have a value to your own eyes, but you also have a value to the world outside of you. Do you know? It's equivalent to like somebody dressing in an alien costume and walking outside, and somebody like dressing normally and walking outside. It's as if we can interpret what we can interpret, we can understand, doesn't end up being awkward. Do you understand? Like, anything we can't attach meaning to, it's like awkward. It's the same kind of vibe as when, like, I've seen people and you're like, oh my God, what if this world has a system admin? And they're like, too deep. And I'm like, what do you mean too deep? We're living in a simulation. We have no clue the species is living in language games. Now, again, keep in mind, we're not perfect beings. And the approach I have in imperfections in my life, this is since I've become Muslim, is that I ask for the system admin. Do you understand? Imagine you've gone to a company and some employee comes to talk to you, like some receptionist is like, sorry, sir, the boss is busy. And you're like, yo, the boss, I know the boss. It's like the boss is my buddy, right? So what is that feeling? It's the feeling that you go directly to where the value of the system is arising. Now, bizarrely, the value of this system is arising from outside of the system. But because we're in the system, our views on the outside of the system are kind of awkward. Do you understand? And awkwardness is not going to be a big deal. Let me tell you why. Because in my evenings when I speak to you guys, I just had a vision of the future, like a glimpse, And no way, I just saw a probability. I'm not saying this is true, but I saw a probability that it was like the species is actually kind of being forced by nature to be awkward. And I was like, why? And I realized it's because we're absorbing more information than we know how to express it. Do you understand? It's like somebody having a lot of knowledge on hammers, and you give them a hammer and they've never used a hammer, right? It's like they can say I'm the greatest hammer like user, right? And at the same time, do you understand? Like I'm telling you, it's a matter of what experientially works that moves the moment forward, and a matter of what subjectively should the moment be. And, I do believe on some deep level, the human being, like a cup being filled to the brim, becomes bored of its life. Like, they don't talk about this. They don't teach about this. They don't teach this. They don't teach it. Like, there isn't university professors. It's like, yo, what are you a professor on? I'm the professor on boredom. Do you know how many students I've made, bored in my class? You know? It's like the most boring professor, but that's what he's teaching. He's teaching what it means to be boring. And it's kind of like what's boring is when your attention is on the not enough value. Do you understand? I think human beings, regardless of what they think their desires are, they want an unexpected, endless engagement. I don't know how to say it, but I think we as beings feel when we're creating something new with other beings. Do you understand? Like, it's very like I've been a person who's created a lot of stuff alone, just purely alone, as if I'm in some sort of like, sphere, invisible sphere. And there's moments where, okay, I've engaged other human beings, and because the context shifted, like, I can't tell you, it's like every person I've met, I've felt like a new person in front of, like, to them. I don't know how to say this. And I do realize how much of it is assumption. I'll give you an example. When I was in high school, I had a crush on this girl. In my mind, she was not a normal girl. She was like some, divine glitch in the system, like her beauty and all that, right? And in my mind, I was like, yo, such purity, such beauty. And then one day I was passing like her locker, and I heard her speak in the most disgusting way. And I was like, wow, I saw an object. I went into like my own simulated fantasy, and I didn't actually see what was there. Because to be able to truly love something real, you cannot want something of it to change. Do you understand? Like, this is something that I think, of course, it's something that I'm not a parent, but I think parents know, right? That it's different, like educating someone, right? And it's also different when you truly care, right, for that being, right? And what we are experiencing right now on Earth is like 8 billion human beings in their own simulated bubbles of what they think everything is, right? And when they come into contact with that, let me tell you what it is. It's like we as an organism, as a human being, on some level we deep down know that we're simulating our meaning, because it can have infinite meaning. What does that mean? That means when you look at a work of art and you're like, that's nice, that niceness is your simulated meaning, okay? Now, the species has to get to a point where it's like, I can see my own ego code. I can even see your ego code, but I care for you because of what you are present in and as. Do you understand? Like, I don't know what sort of how sophisticated of a being I am, but I don't know, I think like my emotional maturity is gone Super Saiyan. Do you know what I mean? What that means is it's like they look at it like the average guy and they're like, yeah, man, he's not in touch with his emotions. But what really is going on, it's not that a person is not in touch with their emotions, it's that how many levels are they seeing to emotions? Because for me, if you put a puppy in front of me, I'll be like, oh, like an emotionalize it. But if you put like, I don't know, like a snail in front of me, I'll be like, yo man, like stop bothering the snail. I'm trying to tell you that you simulate thoughts and emotions on things. And your simulations on things is not accurate, and deep down as a being, you know this. And that's why you get excited when something else moves the moment. All of human experience and history, and even getting to the depths of metaphysical realities, which I don't talk about anymore, but it's like I'm talking about it now in the sense of like, look at how obvious it is. That it's a relationship of you moving in the moment or the moment moving you. And I know deep down that all human beings actually subconsciously, because they're simulating their own meaning, desire their meaning to be given. And I'm not talking about just male, female, right? Because of course behaviors are different, but I'm saying it in regards to just look at the human. My God, this creature has been lying to itself from the beginning of time. The first lie being time. Awkward. For me, anything that stops moving can be interpreted awkward, but it just needs to keep going forth. That's my reality. Many situations in my life, I'm like, just go forth. It just arises. The patterns keep coming, you know? It's like you look at something, you're like, oh my God, I'm destined for that, you know? Like, you might not believe it. For 5 years of my life, let me tell you something super awkward. For 5 years of my life, I would go around, right, telling everybody when I was living in Toronto that, like, I believe I should be existing in the Netherlands. I'm gonna go live in the Netherlands for the rest of my life, right? I just feel I should be a citizen there. I should have been even born there. I never said born there, but you know what I mean. And then I went to the Netherlands, and I was like, okay, like I had fallen in love with my own mind. See, like that's an awkward moment, right? Because to love something outside of yourself, it has to be neutral value. Do you understand what I mean? That means if I see someone, okay, and I say I like that person, right? That's me simulating a value. I'm giving meaning to that entity. If I say I dislike it, I'm giving meaning. But if I have no opinion and I watch the entity move and its movements express its actual values, then it's obvious. Do you understand? Like, I think human beings, all of you know when something truly cares for you and something doesn't. You feel that. Now, how do we get the species out of awkwardness? And there is another answer I find. Purpose. Do you know? It's imagine like you're doing something and everybody's like, yo man, what's this person doing? Nobody understands. It's so awkward. And then you go ask the person and they're like, what are you doing? And the person's like, I'm mining for gold. And you're like, holy shit. Everybody's like, why is this guy, breaking the sidewalk? There's a purpose behind it. The purpose gives reason. The reason gives value. You got to kind of understand. I'm not saying that we're all lying to each other, right? But I'm saying we're not accurately interpreting each other as well. All right, let me see if I can make this moment happier. All right.
Why can't I? Sophie.
8 billion souls
Hey.
in a world that they did not create. And the expectation is like chaos. These guys are going to destroy themselves. Do you know what it's like? This song brings me so much peace for some reason. But I'm going to still change it. All right. All right, guys, let me see what I can burst out and end this talk. You know, right now, my eyes are closed, and I find myself in a simple moment. And through this simplicity, I'm going to speak to you, and I'm just going to tell you what my heart sees that my mind is trying to relay. It has come to my attention that we are not the way we have been raised. It has come to my attention everything they have told us about the human experience is one angle. It doesn't mean it's true, it doesn't mean false, it just means there's more angles. But then the person comes to the dilemma of being like, if there's many ways I can look at the moment, let's say there's infinite ways I can look at the moment, which way do I look at the moment? And you come to a moment in your scholarly life where you realize the infinitude of value just being a sort of snippet of reality's recording. So what I'm trying to tell you is that what's going on here is that 8 billion human beings are in a massive simulation, in a simulated testing zone. There is divine surveillance, which means there is divine review, which means that you have never been alone and we have been watched this whole time, and it's completely okay because what is watching us is beyond the limits of what we identify. As a human being in 2025, I must declare that I am seeing way more than the old world. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I will share my opinions in the presence of God to the creation of God. I find, again, going back to it, we are simulated beings living through simulated value systems, experiencing a reality that is like a treadmill where the edge of the treadmill is a cliff. I acknowledge that in this life right now, it's all about the elements in the system. If you go far back in human history, here, I'll give you an example of the elements they had in their system. They had humans, they didn't have technology, they had wildlife, they had, let's say, books and writing. But when you look at the elements to acknowledge in the modern system, not only do we have the archaic revival of the notion of the system admin, it's like I'm telling you, you're not alone anymore. You're a human being in a world with other human beings, but there's also classes and there's mods. You don't see the mods, but there are mods. And then there is the one and only system admin. This means that by being alive in 2025, by the nature of my design and position, I as a human being need to acknowledge not only a relationship with myself, not only a relationship with my species as my species, that means I have an identity that it doesn't matter what anybody says, I'm a member of the human species right now. And so are you. So then there's the whole, what is what is my species going to do, right? Like when I say my species, you should feel that. You should say that. You should feel that all of us having the same human form is like a clue. So as a human being in these modern times, I find myself having a relationship with myself, having a relationship with my species, having a relationship with the world, having a relationship with even, I used to have a relationship with moderators in reality. But ultimately, there's a relationship, how do I say it? Like, I got to deal with technology. I got to deal with the presence of God. I got to deal with the future of the species. I got to deal with how my life is now. And so what it is that it's that something way more greater than aliens was noticed on Earth. That means if aliens landed on Earth and they're like, yo, human beings, what's your most advanced power? We'll be like God. That means you are also in the world, Mr. Alien, for example. You are also a simulated entity, but what God is, at least I have been called towards God through Islam. And in Islam, compared to Christianity, there is I feel a different vibe, okay? And let me explain the different vibe. It's as if Christianity is paying attention to a savior in the world. That means Christianity, in Islam, incredible respect for all prophets as if they're higher beings. That's my attitude. But I'm talking about the geometry of what was being communicated conceptually and how there's a differentiation in the pattern. You see, it's like God is being treated as a savior from one angle, but from another angle, it's being treated like the King of Kings. So as a Muslim, it's not that I can rely on another individual to give me salvation. Nothing in the world, because my attention is to have a relationship with that which is not limited and bound by worldly form, by that which created the dunya, the world that is not the dunya. So it's as if as a simulated being in a simulation, I'm like, what can you show me in the simulation that is not simulated? But there has been events, divine events in human history, and in these divine events, the common pattern has been let go of the world to get to notice how the system admin is moving everything. Do you understand? It's very difficult to have desires. Like imagine imagine all your desires, you wrote them down on a piece of paper. And then imagine they told you, a time traveler came, hey man, if you follow this desire, this is what's going to happen to you. If you follow this desire, this is what's going to happen to you. So if you knew the cost of your desires, you might not have them. Let's say a man desires, for example, a very beautiful woman, okay? Or vice versa, whatever. But I'm saying a man, imagine, is like, how do I say it? It's like a person has a desire for a beautiful woman, and then when that moment comes, imagine they're like, yo man, I desired a beautiful moment, but I didn't know that in another dimension that moment was very ugly. What I mean by this, the value of that moment, what I mean by this is to just say to you, to just tell you that everything can be looked at from multiple ways. Except God. That's one thing that by its definition is not in the world. See, from one angle, I have to take the humble approach and be like, I have no clue what God wants and wants to do. And that's my respect for God. That's my respect that there's a system administrative force here. Anyways, guys, I think I've talked enough. I might give another lecture tonight, I don't know. But the main point of what I'm trying to say is that you will live this life, you will have many awkward moments, but in every experience you have in this world, I want you to know that based on what and who's looking at it, there's so many different values. That means somebody could come and see me and be like, yo, you know, this person is terrible. And somebody can come and see me and be like, oh my God, this person is like, I'm getting a correct vibe from this, right? And what I'm trying to say, the value, if we have an ability, this was a challenge for me, to not have fixed expectations on the future, therefore allowing myself to see different ways the moment can happen. And especially when there is a system admin, it means we're not in the driver's seat. That means I didn't tell you to come and listen to this talk. Do you understand? I didn't bring you here. To me, everything is a creation of God. You know, it was like a realization where I'm like, wait a minute, so everything here in creation is created by God. And humans are trying to honor God, yet they're not honoring God's creation. To me, God is an advanced power. I rather than being in an empty room, be in a world where the advanced power is present. And guys, let me tell you something I realized today. You don't know how long the life you know is here. It changes. Everything changes. People change. How your eyes look at this world change. How this world feels to you changes. What you want even changes. And ultimately that change is based on a human being's ability to notice. The future is faster. An awkward moment for the future of humanity is when our mind, our inner experience moves fast, our inner life moves faster than our outer life, and to move as a biological being becomes obsolete. That means, you know, somebody said it in 2025 that the species has to be careful not dehumanizing itself, because the allure of how technologically advanced we can be is there. Advancement doesn't necessarily mean you are advanced. Advancement means you're in the presence of the better possibilities to this reality. And there will come a moment where I will no longer be here. There will come a moment where you will no longer be here. There will come a moment where every person right now who we care about their opinions or whatever is not going to be here. It's as if we're all performing and we don't realize it, and the performance ends. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I don't know, I think it's the soul, all souls will taste death. Something in that manner. Forgive me if I'm not saying it accurately, but what it is that every person will go through the ending here. So don't fear the ending. And most people in human psychology, they have a fear of endings. And sorry, they have more of a fear of how they will end than their ending. I think the inevitable, the ego acknowledges instantaneously. But the probable, it takes its time to shape itself. You know, Islam was so profound for me. Let me tell you why. Because it was the only approach to life that said that the soul can be an enemy to itself. The nafs. That means you might think, oh my God, I'm a creature of pure love. Sure. But you can also be subconsciously, like your ego could be inhibiting what you actually are. Do you understand? And why does the ego inhibit? Through fear. See, it's like, what do you do when you want something, but you're also afraid? That's it. It's this feeling, wanting something, but too afraid to see what may happen, because it might change the current values we have now. Ah, subhanallah. Glory to God. This system is, it requires the activation of humans in more advanced ways. It will happen automatically. But the advantage we have is that we're conscious. So it's pretty much, I don't know, but this is just, I'm just saying it as a manner of speech, I guess. It's like it's like after this life, they ask you, like, what did you do? Sorry, it's like after this life, they're like, did you notice that you were noticing yourself in a way where you could have a new opinion on yourself out of nowhere? Anyways, guys, everybody, my fellow species, you're here for some time. Do the best you can. Do not hide behind fear and ignorance, for the world has various versions of you to still show you. If you're a young person, trust me, you will not recognize yourself in the future. If you're an old person, trust me, you won't recognize yourself in the future. As a human being who considers a system admin to this existential system, I believe everything returns to the system admin. And it's like it began from the system admin, it's being maintained by the system admin, and it returns to the system admin. So technically, it's as if you're here to just do some stuff, and afterwards, to in some sense, you need to notice that which is beyond you, or you haven't understood the value of assimilation. See, when I act like I know somebody, I'm simulating something. Now, if somebody's acting like they know the divine, they're simulating something. But if somebody knows they're simulating something and yet watches the moment, and notice that, okay, you know, how do thoughts approach me? Or even how do people approach me? And we got to keep in mind, of course, on some level, it's awkward because we're all being human, you know, for the first time. Somebody might be like, Mr.Within, what about reincarnation? I'm not into it anymore. It's no longer fashionable for me to consider it. Let me tell you why. Because it makes no sense. If this world was an infinite school, sure, go to your infinite classes, attend your infinite classes. But if this world is like a party and you're here to meet the host and you don't meet the host, you know, whose party were you at? Whose world were you in? Can you notice your limitations and notice outside of your limitations in that unknown space, advanced administration of the system is occurring? Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Gfirli, may God forgive us for the sins we know and the sins we don't know. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, may God guide us to the direct path. May the system admin bless the human experience. May the system admin bless and guide towards the most advanced, exceptional way that humanity can conduct itself. It's as if we are in the presence of like ideologically limited, but the King of Kings. We are in the presence, we are being watched by the ultimate, and yet we wonder if we're doing our ultimate performance. The system admin knows best, and soon humanity will know better in the sense of seeing what it can do better. Bless everyone. Have a great night.